Welcome, Marine Zone 6 with a look at the garden in September. My mother had some begonias she didn't want anymore, so I potted them inside this container with the autumn joy sedum. When it comes to flowers, my motto is, if they're free, they're for me. The beacon impatient on this table is still providing constant color. That's why I love annuals. In general, they provide constant color. Perennials tend to come and go. I've slacked up in my deadheading of these easy wave petunias, but they're still looking lovely. My leftovers, no, not dinner. My leftover plants I put in this container are looking pretty good, the Dusty Miller and the Impatience. And speaking of lovely, this Mini Vista Indigo Splash, no, I'm mixing the two up together. This is Mini Vista Indigo, and this is Licorice Splash, this bluish, yellowish leaf. Is looking lovely. The other Easy Way petunia I have on the deck rail has really filled out well. This coleus below I grew from seed in a packet that was labeled with a date that had expired. I went ahead and planted it and it grew. So if you have some seeds and it says expired, go for it. See what happens. So that coleus I grew from seed is doing well. And here's a burgundy one I also grew from seed. It was a mixed coleus packet. I just consolidated the colors. As I head down the deck steps, these Beacon Impatiens I put in on both sides still have that welcoming look. These on this side were a little smushed by this Limelight Prime, so I had to tie up the Limelight Prime a bit. It's in a bit of shade, and I noticed that some hydrangeas, especially Panicle, when they're in a bit of shade, sometimes the stems can be floppy. But that Limelight Prime is still very pretty. On this other side, by these Beacon Impatiens, this Autumn Joy sedum is starting to turn pink. How exciting. On the other side of this flower bed, my mother had some top hat begonias she didn't want anymore, so I filled in and added them with the rest of my top hat begonias that I had already. So it looks fuller, which works out because I planted these kind of late, so they really haven't had the time to grow. At least not as much as I'd like them to. Down below this hibiscus, this annual, at least it's an annual I believe in my area, it's a Proven Winners Swedish ivy. This is my first year planting it, and I think it's quite beautiful. I love the variegation, the contrast. The little quick fire has really starting to get that just spectacular pink. That lets me know autumn is near. And I went ahead and kept my penstemon leaves because I like that burgundy. It cuts all the green. Too much green looks flat, so that penstemon burgundy cuts the green. Look at this little lime punch. Look at that color. Yes, indeedy. The new dawn leaves are looking pretty good. I'm trying my best to resist deadheading because we're getting close to frost, which should be sometime in October. And so I don't want to deadhead and stimulate new growth that will be damaged in the cold. The Roseanne geranium is hanging in there as usual and should bloom until probably a hard frost. One of my favorite perennials, one of the longest blooming perennials I know of. The Bobo has seen better days. We've had a lot of dry heat lately. And those, I don't know how they got there, black-eyed Susans, still have some vibrant gold color. These Beacon Impatiens have gotten so tall. They're easy to see from my back door. And look at that firelight panicle hydrangea. Wow, wowzers. Next to that firelight, my Gatsby Peak oak leaf hydrangea browned a little earlier than it normally does. I think it's because we had such high temperatures in May, unusually high. I think it's kind of stressed it out. But it still has those gorgeous leaves, which should turn burgundy soon. And brown's my favorite. Yeah, probably my second favorite color, so doesn't look too bad to me. Heading back to the hidden garden, this anise hyssop, I had to provide some support. It's gotten a little floppy, but the scent is just wonderful. I love it. There's that Annabelle. Welcome. And I had to take out the limelight that was here. It got some kind of sickness, probably from this tree behind it, which has been ill for a very long time. But I replaced it with this Gatsby pink from another area, and it's doing, I would say, relatively well, seeing I put it over here when it was really, really hot. So I've been trying to be on top of watering it to make sure that it can adjust. Across from that firelight and that Gatsby pink oak leaf is my newest flower bed. This one I put in maybe about 2 years ago. I had issues for years with water flooding in this area, and so I built up the area and added this bed not too long ago. I have my two bobos, which a lot of the leaves have dropped off, which is unusual, but we've had unusual weather. There are my quick fires. One, that's a firelight, and two, and look at this color on this quick fire. Just delightful. Yes. There is a lot more sun in this area now that I cut down that huge tree or bush or weed or whatever it was. And now there is much more light flooding into this area. And so along with that extension I made in the spring, that lower one, this recent one I put up here still gives me some privacy. And I'm hoping to plant a climbing rose and train it up on that fence. I'll see what happens. And over yonder on the table I built years ago, here are some white begonias. And my mother had some potato vines she didn't want anymore. So I stuck it in these containers today. Hopefully they'll bounce back and look good. Here's another firelight right at the corner of the deck. And look at this Sophie Rose, David Austin. Just lovely. This is the view heading into the west garden, which is the back garden. And you'll see over here my endless summers, which have started to get another set of blooms. Look at that. So exciting. The blooms from the old wood are down below, kind of buried. There's the deck for reference. Look at that. In this container with the Bordeaux and Snowdrift Supertunia, the canna I grew from seed is still getting blooms. Amazing. Just amazing. And I think this container looks pretty good for September. There is that Quickfire Fab. Yeah, Quickfire Fab. Floppy, still from that storm, but still nice. And look at this container with the Snowdrift Supertunia, the Bubblegum Supertunia, and the Beacon Impatient. That's just one Beacon Impatient, and it is not only able to keep up with the Supertunias, but is dominating the Supertunias. I love Beacon Impatience. And behind my waning black-eyed Susans, They still have some gold on them, so I can't let them go. hmm There is that iceberg rose, some purple potato vine, arborvitae. There's my clematis. No flowers, but lovely leaves. Another container with bubblegum and beacon impatient. And the snowdrift in this container, well, looks like it's a losing battle for it. There's my August moon hosta. And my new dawn has started to get some new buds. So exciting. There's those zinnias I grew from seed. Look at there. And my next black-eyed Susans. I like to repeat. Provides order in the garden when there's some repetition here and there. Here in the west garden, nope, not the west. Here in the east garden, which is the front garden, I cut back most of my Millennium Allium. It had already started to wane. And so I'm so glad I put in this annual, well, it's an annual here, Victoria Blue Salvia, because it can provide my purple or blue color for the rest of the growing season. My limelight hydrangeas to the left and to the right have gotten an unusual burn on them. I think it's because of all the dry heat we've had. And down here, the snowdrift supertunias are looking good. And look at this calibrachoa. I'm not the greatest with calibrachoa, but that looks pretty good to me, if I could say so myself. More snowdrift, amethyst verbena. And on this side, there's a beacon impatient in there. Purple and white verbena. Bordeaux is the purple. And more snowdrift. And back by the steps, the silverberry supertunias have really filled in and give that welcoming appeal. At least I think so. And my Sally Holmes is bouncing back after those Japanese beetles. I think they're all gone now. I haven't seen them in a while. And look at that Sally Holmes in the Rose Hall of Fame. It should have plenty of blooms soon. Love it. I've repeated the Victoria Blue Salvia on this side. As I mentioned earlier, repetition gives a sense of order. Here is a long view of most of the East Garden. There is that Incrediball, and that's just one Incrediball. Silverberry Supertunia, the little bit of Millennium Allium blooms I have left I didn't cut off, and some more, yes, Victoria Blue Salvia. The pink chiffon Rose of Sharon is hanging in there. And my Japanese viburnum is starting to get its burgundy-ish color. Consider subscribing, and thanks for watching.